Interesting Sunday this week. The regular Sunday readings are interrupted by a fairly significant occasion in the church called All Souls Day. Now, we are well aware that the 31st of October is Halloween, and so that puts Sunday on All Souls Day. So Hallows Eve is the origin of what we now call Halloween. And it was simply the evening before the celebration of All Saints' Day on November 1st. That's the day that we celebrate all those people who have lived a life pleasing to God and have gone to heaven. And many of them we call like capital S saints, like St. Peter or St. Carlo Acutis. Then on Sunday, November the 2nd, we celebrate All Souls Day. These are the people who have passed on from this life, and we pray for their new life in heaven. We remember those who have died, and we pray for them. And so that is All Souls Day, and so that happens to fall on a Sunday. So there's a special set of readings for All Souls Day. Now I'm going to read to you what happened in Jesus' time with resurrection. There was a belief that you died, and that was kind of it. However, Jesus came along and said, oh, no, this is just the beginning. And then he goes on and, of course, ultimately demonstrates the resurrection with his own life. But he also had a few instances where he demonstrated resurrection before his own resurrection. So that is the Gospel of Luke this week. And then I'm going to take you into just a little deeper reflection on how resurrection applies to us in everyday life, where we need to get up and get going from our dead places and get into action. So let's listen first to Luke, and then I'm going to kick you into the second half of the video. So this is a reading from the Gospel according to Luke. Soon afterward, Jesus went to a town called Nain, and his disciples and a large crowd went with him. As he approached the gate of the town, a man who had died was being carried out. He was his mother's only son, and she was a widow. And with her was a large crowd from the town. When the Lord saw her, he had compassion for her and said to her, "Do not cry." And then he came forward and he touched the funeral bier, and the bearers stood still. And he said, "Young man, I say to you, get up." And the dead man sat up and began to speak. And Jesus gave him to his mother. Fear seized all of them, and they glorified God, saying, "A great prophet has risen among us, and God has looked favorably on his people." This word about him spread throughout Judea and all of the surrounding country. The gospel of the Lord. It's time for us to get up.
Did you start a relationship with Netflix? There was lots of time for it. Plenty of time to be sitting on the couch and binging our favorite series. And then all of a sudden, Netflix got a little sassy and dropped a message on us like this. Yeah. Judge much, Netflix? This is my favorite chair. Spend some time here. Usually in the morning after I get up, I sit down. I sit down for half an hour or 45 minutes and I read, have a nice cup of coffee, I pray, I get into the good book. But eventually I have to get up. There's a life outside that is calling to me, that I need to enter into and engage. It just happens. We get up. We can't spend our entire life binging and sitting down. So this account goes that Jesus sees a funeral procession coming through the streets. Now this would be the equivalent of a funeral procession in our culture, where the pallbearers are taking the casket out of the church or the funeral home and bringing it to the hearse. But in this case, it would have been like an open casket. They're carrying this man on a platform, like a bed of sorts, like an open casket where he would have been wrapped up and ready to be taken for burial. Now, Jesus approaches the funeral procession, which was bold enough, but as a rabbi, as a teacher in the Jewish faith, he would never have done what he does next. He touches the body of the young man. And then he speaks to the young man and he says, "Young man, I say to you, arise, get up. And the weeping mother is witness to it, and the pallbearers are all witness to it, as this young man would have sat up and he began speaking as if the life had never left him. The power of the life of Jesus is back inside this man, and he gets to live his life further. Imagine the mother who maybe had conversations that were unspoken or words that were left unsaid. Maybe there were stories that were untold, potential that was not yet lived, a life cut too short. And so here Jesus says, you know what? You're not finished with this chapter of my story with you. I've got more for you. So get up. It's time. And I think that we can see ourselves in this young man. That there's a metaphor beyond the power of Jesus over life and death. There's a metaphor for our own lives, for those places in us that have gone to sleep, those places in our hearts that are sitting on the couch binging Netflix, or name your poison. Those places in our hearts that have gone numb, that have gone dead, that we have kind of said no to out of fear or worry or regret. And so here we are. We want to call each of us, call each other to get up and step into the new life that Jesus has for us. Beyond the small story of our news feeds that it's hard to hear one side, hear the other side, hear it over and over again, see the hurt and the pain in the world, and know what to do with it. But Jesus is just saying, I have a place for you. I've got a purpose for you that I need to wake up in you so that you can step into the story that I have for you. And that's his call. Get up. I want you to find those places, no matter where you are in your faith or your relationship with Christ, there's a place for you to step into. You have gifts and abilities, you have a personality, you have a character to bring to the world. And we want to walk together and make that as alive as possible. And so Jesus is calling me, he's calling you, he's calling each one of us to get up and step into it.